772-8450.
Comitos Pizzeria, the best pizza in town.
1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Best cocktails around.
Come in as friends and leave as family.
Tired of paying more and more for eggs and bread? Concerned about the uncertainty in the financial world? Introducing Goldbacks, the golden answer to your monetary concerns. Hold in your hands the unique power of real gold that you can use day to day. Goldbacks are thin, flexible bills manufactured with a precise amount of gold used daily in transactions around the U.S. Picture this. You're at a local coffee shop and you buy your espresso with a beautiful Goldback. Or at a pizza joint and you pay for your pie with real gold. With Goldbacks, you'll have the security of holding a valuable asset you can use every day that retains its value during times of inflation. Embrace the stability and tangibility of Goldbacks, the way money is supposed to work.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Contact us by email at WMNH953@gmail.com or through our website at WMNHradio.org.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. One day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when it happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Welcome, everybody. Here we go. Happy Monday. It is that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast Channel 6 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Monday, August 28, 2023, and I'm not alone.
Greetings.
Jenny is here at the news desk.
I am present, yes. Greetings.
And welcome, everybody. You can be with us, too. The Studio line is open, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And, of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. We have a great musical guest coming up at the top of the hour. The band Everfelt is going to be Skyping in from Illinois. I really like them a lot. Really like their sound. They've got a big kind of... They describe themselves on their website as sort of psychedelic rock, but to me it almost sounds like doom metal. But I really like it. They got a big sound. Really looking forward to talking to them. So I don't know if it's just going to be the one guy or if it's going to be more than one. Or
I am not positive.
We'll see what happens when they Skype in at 5. And, as we get close to the top of the hour, we'll play some of their music, both before and after the segment. But, yeah, I really like them a lot, so that's going to be good. And we did open the show today with Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, which I usually play every year to commemorate his birthday. But I thought, today is actually because it is the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, I thought I should play that today, too. That's where the speech happened, of course. They celebrated it over the weekend, but the actual day is today, the actual anniversary, August 28th. So I thought I'd share that with everybody. Always a good opener, actually, for the show. So especially... Geez, in light of what happened in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I hate talking about that stuff, but we might get into that a little bit today. But I always, whenever there's a shooting, I hate even talking about it. It's such a downer. But yeah. So
you can't ignore what was going on in North Carolina either.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just
That's still an active situation, right?
I'm trying to check it out. There was a report of shots fired, but I thought they lifted the lockdown.
Oh.
I may be wrong about that. Actually, I am wrong about that. According to this Atlanta station, they are still on lockdown.
Oh, okay.
It started at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. The students and staff were warned that there was an armed and dangerous person on campus. They were locked down on campus, and we're reporting an active assailant situation. I know on the way in we heard, or you might have been in the store when I was listening, that there was a shot fire, a report of a single shot fired.
Yeah.
But nothing beyond that. It's still way too fluid for me to really give you an appropriate answer.
Yeah.
Because looking at this report, it looks like it's still fluid. They are looking for that person. That does seem to be absolutely still going on. There is an image up. You can go look it up. You can look at the person that they are looking for.
Okay.
So, yeah, but then we've got 3 people who lost their lives today because of the color of their skin.
Well, that was yesterday, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's blending on me, and that's awful, in a bad way. In a bad way, not in a good way.
Yeah.
That these things happen, and apparently this guy was a total white supremacist.
Yeah.
Left notes. He had
a whole manifesto.
Yeah, he decided that he deserved to take people out of this world, and then he took out himself. Could they just, I don't want to say it. It's a horrible thing to say, but it is. It's like, if you feel that way, can you just stick to yourself and not hurt innocent people?
Yeah. It's awful.
It is.
Well,
we didn't have to deal with this stuff when we were kids.
Well, it happened, but not nearly as much, not nearly as often. We should look at, just to be a little more uplifting, of course, this is the article from NPR regarding over the weekend, thousands marched to mark the 60th anniversary of MLK's I Have a Dream speech. It says here, 6 decades ago, an estimated 250,000 people gathered at the Lincoln Memorial for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. That was the full name of the event. In the nation's capital, Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech that day on August 28, 1963, 6 years ago today, has since emerged as a paramount symbol of the push for racial and social equality. On Saturday, tens of thousands of people gathered in that same spot to declare that dream was in jeopardy, that America had slid backwards in its fight against hatred and bigotry. Civil rights activist Reverend Al Sharpton said, quote, 60 years ago, Martin Luther King talked about a dream. 60 years later, we're the dreamers, unquote. Sharpton, who leads the National Action Network, said one of the two groups that organized the rally. The nonprofit Drum Major Institute co-hosted the event, which was billed as not a commemoration, but a continuation of King's vision. After a year of Supreme Court rulings and national legislation that rolled back racial progress, the 5-hour program featured dozens of high-profile speakers who noted the prevalence of civil rights abuses, such as systemic racism, hate speech, hate crimes, police brutality, gun violence, poverty, the loss of voting rights, and the collapse of reproductive rights, to name just a few topics that surfaced. Andrew Waters King, the daughter-in-law of Martin Luther King Jr., one of a number of his family members who spoke at the event, said, quote, "We are here to liberate the soul of the nation, the soul of democracy, from those forces who would have us all go backwards and perish rather than go forward as sisters and brothers," unquote. People carried Black Lives Matter banners and wore I Have a Dream t-shirts as they listened to the speeches and marched to King's memorial statue. Many took refuge in the shade of trees along the Lincoln Memorial as temperatures soared into the upper 80s. Despite the crowds, rugby games went along as planned across the mall, while joggers and bikers stuck to their routes, according to a report from the AP. The sound of planes taking off from nearby Ronald Reagan National Airport thundered over some of the speakers. And while the crowd size may have been smaller than the 250,000 people who turned out in 1963, Saturday's event boasted some undeniable signs of progress. Many of the speakers who took the podium were women. Only one female speaker was featured at the original march. I didn't realize that. I hadn't thought of that. And just as this year's lineup of speakers was more diverse, so too were the issues they spotlighted. Actor Sacha Baron Cohen called for an end to anti-Semitism. Parkland school shooting survivor David Hogg called for younger generations to run for office in response to gun violence. Democratic members of Congress, including South Carolina Representative James Clyburn and New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries, called for federal voting rights protections as some states continue to restrict election rules. King's 1963 speech is credited with helping pave the way for major federal voting rights legislation, as well as the landmark 1964 Civil Rights Act. But pushback and violence followed too. Just 2 weeks after the gathering, 4 black children were killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama. A year later, voting rights marchers were brutally beaten while crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in nearby Selma. Commemorations of the original 1963 gathering have taken place over the decades, and King's speech continues to resonate, both serving as major symbols of America's push and pull toward justice. Tens of thousands of people marched in D.C. following the police killing of George Floyd in 2020, as millions across the country took part in racial justice protests and rallies. For some, Saturday's event was yet another poignant measure of how much work has yet to be done. Marcia Dean Feltz of Amelia Island, Florida, told the AP, quote, "I often look back and look over to the reflection pool in the Washington Monument, and I see 250,000 people 60 years ago and just a trickling now. It was more fired up then, but the things we were asking for and needing, we still need them today," unquote. Several leaders also helped organize the march, met with Attorney General Merrick Garland and Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark on Friday. They discussed a range of issues, including policing, redlining, and voting rights. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will observe the march's true anniversary on Monday, today, by meeting with organizers of the 1963 gathering, the AP reported.
I did see a little bit of that footage earlier.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that one of the first things that President Biden spoke of was he never imagined sitting here talking about this in this day and age on this historic date, and we're talking about book bans.
Yeah.
He specifically, seriously, we came so far as a society, and it's like we're hurling ourselves back in time. We're banning books.
Well, we're
banning history.
Yeah.
We can say we're banning history.
Well, yeah, that's a way of putting it. Certainly, I'm more optimistic on this, as we've discussed before. But I always say, two things can be true. I believe we have come a long way, but we clearly still have a lot of work to do. And what happened in Jacksonville over the weekend, for example, is clear and present evidence of the work that we still have to do. We continue to have to confront hate, because hate is by nature malignant, and I use that word very deliberately because it does spread if you leave it unchecked, which a lot of people don't seem to understand or don't want to acknowledge. They think if you, some people think if you just say, nope, problem's already been solved, then, just
that's not legal anymore.
Just pretend it's not there and it's not really there. No, we still have a lot of work to do, but we also have come a long way, obviously, from, if you take into account, the civil rights movement and the progress that was made in terms of desegregating schools. And, it's hard to imagine, but before you or I were even born, they had segregated schools and separate water fountains, and there was
a lot in the 1960s that was illegal.
Oh, yeah.
that is legal now.
Right. And so I always say to people, because it's such a polarizing thing, and of course we live in this. We live in a political culture where everything is so binary, and you're supposed to be all the way on one side of an issue or all the way on the other. So when it comes to this, for example, people have a natural expectation that you're either supposed to believe that we live in this, that America is this racist and racialized hellscape, and we've made no progress, or you're supposed to believe that, nope, all set, racism's been solved, and anything that you say about it now, you're just making that up to restoke the fires of racism,
you're giving the argument for me and not your position.
And neither of those, positions in my opinion is true. And as I say, two things can be true at once. I think we should recognize the incredible progress that we have made in this country. And it's one of the things that I love about this country. I consider myself a patriot. I know some people would disagree with me because I'm not a Trump supporter, but I do consider myself a patriot. And also, so I think we should reflect on and acknowledge the incredible progress that we've made as a country, while also acknowledging that clearly we do still have a long way to go. And again, anyone who wants to argue with me about that, I would refer you to what happened over the weekend in Jacksonville.
Seriously.
When you've got this, he had a racist manifesto. He
originally went to a college, a black college. He was spotted by students who immediately went to security. He got spooked. He ran off. And that's how he ended up in the dollar store, is my understanding. Now, granted, that's just a cursory knowledge that I've gotten out of the news media. But I thought it was also telling that when they held a vigil for the people who were killed, tone deaf DeSantis showed up, and the people booed him down and were yelling at him, "You're not welcome here," and were booing him down when he was trying to use it as a way for him to tout him politically. That's all he was there for. Come on. The only reason he went there is it's a free microphone and a camera. I'm gonna get on this and get some attention. I don't believe that he really cares about black people at all when he is pushing an agenda that in part dehumanizes people who are black, because there's this whole thing of they learned skills from slavery. Come on. Like the whole forgetting about these were human beings that had a world they lived in, and they took care of their families, and they cooked, and they had lives, and they were stolen. They were kidnapped and brutally tortured into slavery. But he tries to sugarcoat it with this, his banning books, we're going to teach that black people got skills from slavery.
Well, he in fairness, and listen, I'm no fan of the guy either, but in fairness, I mean, we do need to say, technically, he's actually been running away from that.
Now?
Well, he's not responsible. He's not directly responsible. Now,
oh, come on.
Wait, no.
The law stops at the governor's office.
The law that they passed. Well, no, this is an important detail, though. the law that they passed in Florida about, teaching the benefits of slavery and, making it sound like a jobs. I mean, you know how I feel about that too. I agree with you that it's and a lot of Republicans have spoken out about that too, because I know some people want to say, oh, it's the left that's upset about this. No, a lot of conservatives have spoken up about this too and have said it's wrong. But that wasn't DeSantis directly, that specific law. That was the Florida state legislature. I do agree, however, though, with what Chris Christie said, that DeSantis is the one who lit the fuse on that, because he's the one, with the, what do they call it? The Stop Woke Act in Florida. So DeSantis started that. He was the catalyst for what follows from that. But, well, I would argue in this case, DeSantis lit the fire, but then the Florida state legislature poured gasoline on it. But, again, I'm not trying to defend DeSantis, but
you're entitled to that opinion.
But but it's not an opinion. It's a fact that he's not the one who created that law.
I didn't say he created it.
That was the Florida state legislature.
I didn't say I never said he created it. I said he's touting it.
No, he's not. That law specifically, he's not.
Things that have been going on until now.
He's been
he's running away from it.
Right. That particular law, he's been running away from it. He won't speak against it, but he doesn't want to take the blame for it either. He's been a
slimy politician that fits himself into whatever piece he thinks he can.
Well,
but in the end of the day, he supports this crap, because if he didn't, he'd be outspoken about it, right? A real governor who gives 2 cents about the students in his city, in his state, would speak out and say that's not okay. We shouldn't ban the Diary of Anne Frank. But that's not what he's done.
I disagree. One thing though that I do disagree with you on, I think he should have, because it sounds like you're saying he shouldn't have shown up at that event and spoken. I disagree.
No, I don't think he should have. I don't think he should have, because it certainly wasn't what the families or the people there wanted, because he got shouted down. He got told to leave.
Yeah.
He could have done his piece.
Well,
he could have said his piece from anywhere. He did not have to show up there and take that podium. He made it about him, and it's not about him. It's about those people. I stick to my guns on that one, that he absolutely should not have shown up there.
I don't know.
He did more harm than he did good by showing up.
That's complicated though, because he is the governor of the state. Well, I don't know if you saw this, but now this is from Mediaite. Democratic Jacksonville councilwoman who defended DeSantis at shooting vigil says he wasn't invited, but the crowd shouldn't have booed. This is, it says here, when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis appeared at a vigil for the victims and community of the racially motivated mass shooting in Jacksonville, he was not well received. He was audibly booed by the crowd until Democratic Councilwoman Jacoby Pittman stood up for him, telling everyone, quote, "It ain't about parties today," unquote. On Monday, Pittman gave CNN more details about DeSantis' appearance and revealed that the governor wasn't actually invited. Speaking to CNN's Boris Sanchez, Pittman explained, there's audio here, but it's of the full segment. I just want this part. Pittman explained that days after a white gunman murdered 3 black shoppers at a Jacksonville Family Dollar, the hate crime, quote, has crippled and handcuffed our community, and families are hurting. They're heartbroken. Our community is heartbroken as well, unquote. But when asked about DeSantis, Pittman was eager to make it very clear that despite his taking the mic, this event was not meant to be about him. In fact, she didn't know he was going to be there, let alone speak. So here's what she said. Quote, "I had no idea that the governor was coming. The MC of the event for that day called him up. He was just only supposed to have been acknowledged as being there. That vigil that we did yesterday was not about the governor. And I will say, I don't support any of the stances or policies that the governor has implemented. My concern yesterday was about the families. It was not a political ploy for me and our community. It was about focusing on the families that were there and the hatred that had come to their community. And so I just want to make myself clear. I wanted the audience to calm down because I wanted him to sit down, and I wanted it to be the event that was for the residents and the community that had come together for unity. That's what that event was about, not the governor, unquote. DeSantis called the shooter, who turned the gun on himself, a scumbag, and pledged $1 million in funds for security at Edward Waters University, an HBCU. And if you don't know what that is, historically black, HBCU, you hear that in the media a lot, and they don't explain what it means. It's historically black colleges and universities. So Edward Waters University is an HBCU that the gunman initially approached before the shooting at the Family Dollar. Nonetheless, some critics have said that DeSantis's war on woke has spread the rhetoric that led to this crime. Florida State Representative Angie Dixon, a Democrat, said DeSantis had blood on his hands when details of the shooter's white supremacist beliefs came to light. Well, here's what I don't. I'm no fan of DeSantis, but I'm not a fan of that kind of rhetoric either, coming from the other side of things. That saying he has blood on his hands, I'm not comfortable with that. Shouldn't say things like that, in my opinion. But here's the full quote. This is a governor who has done nothing but fan these types of happenings throughout our state. Look, at the end of the day, the governor has blood on his hands. He has had an all-out attack on the black community with his anti-woke policies, which we know very well was nothing more than a dog whistle to get folks riled up in the way in which it just happened yesterday, unquote. Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with the blood on his hands part, but anyway, but yeah, this, the Democratic, Jacksonville, councilwoman, she did try to, Pittman, she did try to calm things down, but, let's see.
I apologize for having to step away.
Yeah, that's okay.
I am still fighting with my health insurance company for those who are following that story.
Yeah.
So I apologize for having to step away.
That's all right.
But I respect whatever you said in my absence. I totally respect you for your opinions. I'm a big non-fan of DeSantis. And and to back up I do want to say one thing. I have a big problem with politicians showing up when somebody dies like that, and the family, I doubt, got the choice. When years ago, when the Iraqi war first started, my boss lost her husband, and it was horrible. And it was one of the earlier deaths, and it was in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And Romney showed up, walking in the procession, and my girlfriend was devastated and disgusted, and she didn't want him there, and nobody talked to her. She didn't get a say. He just showed up, and it was such I was there with her. It was such a horrific situation that since that moment, I've been 100% against politicians showing up when people have died or been killed without the family saying, yes, come be with me. Because you can tell the difference. Yeah. If the family was, hey, come be with us, you wouldn't have people shouting him down and saying, you're not welcome, get out of here. That's not what would be happening, because when they show up and they're wanted, they're usually standing right next to the loved one. The loved one is right with them. You see that all the time.
Right.
But in these situations, when the family, I doubt even necessarily knew he was going to show up, and people are saying, get out of here.
Well, families. I mean, in this case, because it was 3 people killed.
Right. So you've got 3 different families. It's my understanding that 2 of the families do want to speak to President Biden. One of the families said they would rather not, and that's being that apparently is being followed, because he said it himself. He's not going to try and force himself on anybody, but anybody who wanted the call, he was going to give them a call. Yeah. Because unfortunately, in these situations, these family become the propaganda that gets held up by both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to decide with me, instead of people just take a step back for a minute, let these people have their grief. Let them have their feelings before you try and hold them up and make them examples to pass whatever law.
Right.
Let people just have that.
It's a little bit tricky in that if, I mean, with DeSantis, it's kind of an unusual situation because of his anti-woke crusade complicates things,
See,
obviously.
I think that
but
crusade enhances my position.
But I think, well, I was just going to say though, I think, well, yeah, I was saying that with DeSantis, it's a little more complicated than it would be for really probably any other governor in the country, to be honest with you, because I think generally there's a little bit of a no-win. It's a little bit of a no-win situation, because if a governor in a situation like that doesn't show up, then there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, this governor doesn't care. But I do think you're right. Ultimately, it should be up to the families and what they want and what they're comfortable with. They should come first. And if they don't express any particular preference, whoever is organizing the event should ask them. And then the governor, be it DeSantis or any other governor from any other state, should respect whatever that decision is. But
it's like when there's a serious emergency going. You don't necessarily want the political dude to get there right away, because he's going to get in the way. He's going to take security away from the things that are going on.
Yeah.
In those instances, they get permission. So, why don't they ever talk to why don't they listen to the families? If you got one out of three saying, I don't want you here, don't come, issue a statement. Offer to talk to those people behind closed doors. If you're truly going to be there to be supportive of these people, that's all you need to do.
Right.
If you insist or need to be out in front of that camera, well, you ain't doing this about the families. This is about you and your ego.
I think, too, probably it would depend on some of that. I mean, ultimately, yeah, I agree. It should be up to the families. I think also, too, it may depend somewhat on, well, just as an example, because Bill Clinton, I don't know if there were any kind of, when Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas, I don't know if there were any of these kinds of shootings on his watch, but I would imagine it would probably have been, had there been, a pretty safe bet that people would be comfortable with him showing up, because he was known for, I mean, it's part of how he got elected president. He was, that whole I feel your pain thing. Whereas in contrast, somebody like Ron DeSantis, it's like, I don't know if the guy has any actual human emotions or capacity for empathy. And maybe he does. I'm not saying that he doesn't. There might be a lot more. I mean, most people...
You can say that. I don't know.
Well, most people have a lot more to them than what you see on the surface.
Well,
and I do have a suspicion about him that there are things about him that he keeps hidden, because because of his awkwardness. Awkward people usually have things about themselves that they're not comfortable showing you, and it might be, and not, I don't necessarily mean negative things. Sometimes they can be positive things, like they have emotions that they don't want to show you because they're vulnerable. So I don't know.
I don't see that when I look at him.
I don't either, but I'm just saying you just never know. Sometimes awkward people are deeply emotional people.
I don't think he's that complicated.
Probably not. Probably
Come
not.
on now.
Probably not. I'm just saying, though, you never really know.
He's all about getting his mug in front of a camera.
That's
all that man cares about is his hair straight, and can he get his face in front of a camera?
I could better assess him if I could meet him and look him in the eyes. But then again, apparently he doesn't look people in the eyes when he meets them. Mike Doyle is on the line. Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, Jenny.
Hi.
Jen.
Hi.
Hey, I just turned you on. I was listening to 10 minutes of your conversation there. Don't you think, like any politician, if especially running for president, that if you didn't show up, and I understand the family thing, but did somebody ever tell him, listen, one family doesn't want you here? But if he doesn't show up, what are they going to say, right? That's a headline for.
We were talking about that earlier.
And he doesn't want to be involved with that type of thing.
Yeah, I said that, Mike. I said it's a little bit of a no-win situation. Right. I do agree. It should be up to the families.
And go ahead.
No, I was saying I do believe it should be absolutely up to the families ultimately, but I also acknowledged, it is a little bit complicated, because you're right. If he doesn't show up, it will get used against him.
Oh yeah, and so in that effort, he came off the campaign trail to do this. Error on the side of being there versus not being there. You can argue that some people. There was only. I read the article this morning, and they were saying some people were booing. There was a small contingent booing, and probably family members or And in his speech, he said, I found out recently that the security at that college that the kid went to first was kind of lax. So this morning, he signed an executive order to give grant $1 million to that university to beef up their security.
Right.
So he also gave some other money to somebody else for security, something else I can't remember.
Well, I think it was more than one HBCU that he's funding to beef up security.
I mean, it's funny how people they kind of rat on him, but it's what he's supposed to do. He's the governor. He comes off the campaign trail. He has to go. This happened in his state. I got to show up. I got to tell the people I'm behind you. We're gonna, And his last statement was, "This should not happen. It doesn't matter what color your skin is." But people still want to kind of crap on him, and I don't know. I think he just did what he had to do, like you said. So.
Yeah, I don't think it was had to. He could have made a statement without going down to that specific site.
Well, I would be curious to know one thing
especially if he's going to make security worse.
One thing that we don't know is what do the families think, or did they have any input on this? That's an important piece of information to me in terms of judging the appropriateness of him being there, and that's something we don't know, and we might not ever know that.
We don't know that, and we don't know if anybody relayed anything to him to say, hey, they would rather not have you here, out of respect.
Right.
And he would say, okay, I'm not going to go there out of respect.
Right.
But that we don't know if either of those happened.
Unfortunately,
and to Jenny's point, Jenny, here's the problem with what you're saying is, if he did it long distance via video, he would still get chastised.
I'm not disagreeing that it's a no-win situation one way or the other.
Right.
I'm just saying that from the way things appeared, it appeared like maybe he should have asked first and chosen to go after he got an answer. What is it? Can I ask a question of you two? What is it that gets under your skin about DeSantis so much? What doesn't?
What
really? Doesn't? My God!
Everybody's moving to Florida. People from New York, they're all moving to Florida.
Knock
they like
yourself
it there.
out.
Tax-free.
Hey, tax-free my butt. Tax-free my butt. We're way more tax-free up here than they are. They have a lot of county taxes, number one. Number two, where do we start with Florida? Should we start with the flesh-eating bacteria that's washing up on shore? Should we start with the triple-digit...
The leprosy?
The leprosy being transmitted by mosquitoes. The fact that a lot of the major home insurance companies are completely pulling out and not writing insurance policies there anymore because that's gone to heck in a handbag. While he was paying attention to Disney and actually causing the state more money by taking 7 miles of road back into the state's control, they had to absorb all of that went with that, like taking care of the road, policing, EMS, and such. Let's see, the Diary of Anne Frank is not used in Florida schools anymore. Because that's pornography, don't you know? So when we teach the Holocaust, we don't teach the Diary of Anne Frank in Florida anymore, is my understanding. Let's see. Where else should we go? Flying cockroaches? Anybody?
So that's
tons of
his
poisonous
fault?
snakes.
Flying cockroaches and...
Flying snakes and leprosy and flesh-eating bacteria. Yeah, no, Florida's not for me. You knock yourself out.
Well, to be fair, Mike, you did... I think your exact question was, what's wrong with Florida?
Right. So that's the answer.
I don't know how you want me to word it. I didn't mean.
And I'll tell you something.
What is all their problems? Because every other state has problems.
My whole life.
About.
Yeah, but every other state. Yeah, but we don't have leprosy flying around and mosquitoes in New Hampshire. You know, dude. Like they have that. Go look it up. I'm not even kidding you. They have a leprosy outbreak going on in Florida right now. They have more poisonous snakes than I can think of. We have one.
I know, but what? All right. So you're talking about Florida's conditions. They're 3/4 surrounded by water. It's a tough situation.
I used to love
one body of water cold on one side, and one is susceptible to tornadoes and hurricanes.
Not so much anymore.
They got
now
a lot
it's
of
both.
They got a lot of wetlands, which produces a lot of mosquitoes. I don't know what you want. Ron DeSantis to get out there with a net and go start catching mosquitoes.
Ron DeSantis, what I'd like him to do is retire. I think he's the worst thing to happen in politics. I think he's a terrible leader.
People who live in Florida say just the opposite. Say we love it here. He's great.
Maybe they won't next go around. Well, they got a lot of people exiting. I mean, you talk about I don't know what people. I don't know about.
They're increasing every year. You're wrong about that.
No. Go look at the blogs on all the people who are a part of the LGBTQ community who are like, I'm not living here anymore. Or how many black moms are pulling their kids out because they don't want their kids being taught that slaves were given skills.
Oh, let's not go. I don't want to even get back
to
that.
Let's not get on that road again.
Well, these are the people that are moving out
all
of Florida.
All I'm saying is there's a lot of, my brother lives in Florida 6 months out of the year. His wife's a staunch Democrat, and she votes for DeSantis every year. She says he's fantastic.
No,
I don't know. My brother, my other brother lives down there.
You like him better than Trump?
They all love him. People love him.
Do you like him better than Trump? Which one you going for?
I do, because I don't think he'll shoot it. I would think he would do a lot of the same policies that we had 3 years ago that we don't have now, and be paying less in gas and inflation and all that stuff. And I don't think he'd shoot himself in the foot as much as Trump does with his mouth.
I don't think
he can't stop himself.
Anybody. Yeah,
I don't think anyone would. Yeah. Well, I mean, to your point, Mike. I mean, DeSantis did do very well in his reelection versus, not that Charlie Crist was a particularly strong candidate, but DeSantis won pretty big in that election. But he doesn't.
He's got 2 degrees from Yale and somewhere Harvard, I think.
Oh yeah, no,
he was a Navy SEAL. He was a JAG officer. He's done all the right things to help people and defend the country, and I don't know, and everybody just hates him. The guy, he didn't have to go back to Afghanistan. He did.
I think. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think all the anti-woke stuff, I think, really hurts him, even among Republicans. There's polling data that shows Republicans are just kind of tired of hearing about woke this and woke that. But I do think DeSantis got the message, because in that last debate, I don't know if I was trying to think back. I don't think I heard DeSantis use the word woke once that entire debate, which was actually very surprising to me, because for a long time, every interview I would see with him, the first thing out of his mouth about any subject he would be asked about was, well, we have to defeat wokeism and wokeness and this and that. Like, he's so hyper-focused on it. All of a sudden during that debate, I don't know if he said the word woke even one time, which is definitely a pivot for him. I don't know if it'll help him or not, but I don't think he connects with people, though, in the same way that some of those other candidates might be able to. I mean, I haven't met the guy, but I've heard people, like when he comes to New Hampshire, I've heard people say he doesn't really look you in the eye when he shakes your hand. He's kind of nervous and awkward. And
one guy compared him to a carnival barker.
Oh, well,
I mean, see, without meeting the guy, how can you even say that somebody else said he doesn't look you in the eye and he's a carnival barker? How can you say those things without actually knowing him and shaking his hand and talking to him for a few minutes?
Carnival barker is pretty easy to determine. When they open their mouths, you can tell.
Well,
I could see him. I see him on TV. I see him on video. I hear him, but I actually can't take credit for that. I was actually reading somebody else's choice words, but I happen to agree with them. I mean, we are talking about a guy who declared pro wrestlers necessary humans for a plague, because that made sense, right?
Yeah.
As a first responder, that was really dumb.
Well, I would have been bummed if we didn't have WrestleMania that year, though.
Dude, come on.
Yeah. So Matt, to your point about woke during the campaign, during the debate, I don't think I saw it either.
Yeah.
But why would he bring that up if he didn't need to? Why? You know, that's like any other subject that's controversial. Why would you bring it up if you didn't have to?
I think that's what Matt was saying, is that he was bringing that up a lot, and in this debate, he did not bring it up. Yeah. That was the observation.
His famous line is, "This is Florida, is where woke goes to die."
Right. Yeah.
Well, so he uses that all the time. That's his.
It's stupid.
Theory there.
But really stupid.
But I wonder, you might not hear that anymore, though. This may have been a pivot for him. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, one last thing. Did you watch the whole debate?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love the debate.
Did you see when they asked the question about who would vote for Trump if he becomes the nominee? And the whole right side of the stage, as you're facing it, put their hands up. And then Chris Christie looked over and saw everybody putting their hands up, and he put his hand up like a foot off the, and he was waving a little bit.
Yeah, a little finger wave.
And he didn't know whether to put it. What?
He had like a little finger wave going. Yeah.
He didn't know whether to put it up, down. He was caught in the middle.
He kind of
and
looked
then when
like
they
he
asked
started
him,
to, and
they
then
said,
he
"You put your hand up a little bit." He said, he said, "Oh, I was waving for I wanted you to ask me a question." He is such a coward. I think he's the biggest coward going.
It was a very strange moment. I would have liked to have heard. I haven't heard him explain what he was doing, because to me it looked like he said, "Oh no, I was going like this," and it looked like he was making a motion like he was writing something. And I wondered.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a reference to the pledge that he had to sign, because they all had to sign a pledge that they would support the eventual nominee. I don't know. I mean, that was one theory, because it looked like he was making a but he never explained it, and I haven't heard anyone really ask him, "Hey, what were you doing with your hand?"
And if you back it up, I mean, it kind of looked like he was starting to put his hand up and then like quit halfway up.
Yeah.
And went like, wait a minute,
Right.
I'm not sure.
That's what I think. Yes, exactly. Because he
you're
looked to
right.
his left.
It started on the right side and it slowly went across. Everybody's putting their hands up. And then it got to him.
And he was like, "Oh, shit," and he started to put his hand up.
Oy, oy.
Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. He decided to put his hand up.
That's all right, Mike. We're on a delay. I caught it. Although that's the first time I've ever. That's the first time I've ever had to do that with you. You're usually.
Yeah, I know. I'm not big on craziness, but anyways,
that's okay.
All right, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that he, I mean, during COVID, he didn't close down the state. The economy kept going. You got to argue. You can't argue that he has a lot of elderly, and he came in right in the middle of the chart. If you look on the chart of deaths, he was right in the middle of all the states. So he did a. Any one death is horrible, but for just looking at deaths versus states, and who has the elderly and the most vulnerable population, it's certainly Florida, and he came in right in the middle of the pack. When the numbers were all settled, and so people look at that and say he did a great job. Kids didn't have to wear masks to school, things like that, and he got away with all of it, and it all worked.
Well,
I think that's why a lot of people like him.
I didn't think they got away with the whole thing. I thought that they did do some of it in the beginning.
That's a big subject, which
maybe for another day.
Which maybe for another day. We don't have time to get into all of that now.
But it is the third leading cause of death in Florida is COVID.
Yeah,
it's heart disease, cancer, COVID, and unintentional injury.
Yeah,
but look at the. I'll hang up because we've gone a long time. But when you get a minute, just Google the deaths by state by state, and look where Florida ended up. And he has by far the most vulnerable population with all the elderly that are retired in Florida. So I don't know. I'm just trying to give you an outline of why people that see him as I do say he's better than Trump, or he's better than Chris Christie, or better than a lot of these. Even though I think Nikki Haley did a great job.
She had in the debate, she had a few good moments. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so anyways, all right, good chatting with you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for the call, Mike. Take care.
See you.
All right, that was our friend Mike Doyle, and I'd give the studio line again, but we actually we're approaching the top of the hour, so in a couple of minutes we do have a guest. Yes,
Governor Ron DeSantis ordered a statewide lockdown April 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
So there was some he didn't not lock down completely.
Right. I think he opened things up quicker than some states.
I'm curious to look at their death rate. I'm definitely going to look it up.
Melanie points out in the chat room he fired the person who was in charge of the COVID data. He didn't like the numbers. Yeah, there was some of that.
Yeah.
The other thing too is with that data, it kind of depends on where in the pandemic you're looking at it, and I've heard all those numbers spun 1,000 different ways. So I don't know, and I'm not even good at math, so I'm not gonna get into all of that. But again, though, I mean, to Mike's point, DeSantis did in that last election. He pretty well crushed Charlie Crist. So obviously, Floridians happy with the job he's been doing. But does that translate in terms of him being a candidate for the presidency? And I just don't think so. I don't think he has the ability to connect with people, and I think a lot of people are really turned off by the all the anti-woke stuff. Which again, he may have pivoted on that. He may have finally.
He's not trying to be everybody's governor now.
But the other thing about him, though, too, is DeSantis comes off like if you disagree with him, it's because if you're going to win in a general election, you want to try to at least present yourself as somewhat of a uniter. Whereas DeSantis kind of has this vibe like he doesn't even want to try to unite people. If you disagree with him, he hates you.
And just move out.
And he just wants nothing to do with you. I mean, that's just how he's never explicitly said that, but I'm just saying, that's how he comes off.
I know what he is for me. One more reason not to move to Florida.
Well,
no, thank you. I'm going to stay here in New England. It's a bit safer. It's a bit nicer. A lot nicer, in my opinion.
Scott Robinson said in the chat, I've heard that if DeSantis doesn't get the nomination, he is going to be the new lead on the reboot of Greatest American Hero. I remember watching that show when I was a kid. I like the theme song, the Believe It or Not, I'm Walking on Air.
I loved that song. Show. I loved that show.
We played that one night on Retro Spectrum Radio. That was in Paul's playlist for it was TV themes. I think the theme was actually, I think we might have done 2 episodes. TV themes that were also hit songs on the radio. Let's see. Do we have time to maybe just quickly say hello to some people in the chat room, and then we're going to get to one of the tracks from our band that's coming up. We should say hello to everybody in here quickly, though. J-Fed joins us and says, good afternoon, everyone, of course, from the great state of Vermont. Scott Robinson says, wow, there was almost as many people at the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech as there were at Trump's inauguration.
Come on.
If you're just joining us and you don't know what that's a reference to, of course, we did open today with the speech Martin Luther King, because it's the 60-year anniversary of the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King gave that wonderful speech. Miriam Banish joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Miriam, as well as Chris Rose from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Abort7, who I'm pretty sure is from Greensboro, North Carolina, says, good afternoon from us, hashtag Matt Connarton and hashtag Jenn Coffey. And how are you from us? Melanie La Liberty, I think I mentioned, she says, hey, guys. Abort7 says, we for us had a good weekend. Hashtag Matt Connarton and hashtag Jenn Coffey for us. We say, was so sad that the legend of the host of Price is Right game show, Bob Barker, passed away for the weekend. He was awesome host from us. We say is R.I.P. Bob Barker. So strange how they talk in Greensboro.
Hashtag Greensboro, North Carolina.
When Abort7 says he passed away for the weekend, it makes it sound like he just passed away for the weekend and now he's back. Melanie said he is a disgusting little man, I believe referring to Ron DeSantis.
Well, he's actually rather tall.
Is he? Why does Trump call him Tiny D?
I thought he was tall.
I thought
he
was
not tall. Is he short?
I don't think he's short, but I think he's like on the low end of medium height. Trump is tall, so maybe just next to Trump he seems short. I have no idea.
Because I'm a brat. I threw an article in the chat room just to share the Palm Beach Post, November 9th, 2020. Don't follow the state's example. The coronavirus has killed more people aged 65 and older in Florida than any other state in the nation. That is the Palm Beach Post on November 9th, 2022.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Scott Robinson said in the chat, and he worked his way through college at an Ivy League school making $7 an hour. He's just a god.
No, that was about the rate then there, wasn't it?
What's that?
The rate was probably about 7 then.
Back then, yeah. Melanie says he wants to control women's bodies and is scared of people entertaining in sparkly clothes, and he is changing history books.
He also is afraid of books in general, I think.
I don't know if he literally is changing them himself, but Rhonda Favero from the great state of California joins us and says, hi, guys. Let's see. Also, Joe Friday joins us in the chat and says, hello, Matt and the lovely Jenny.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
Abort7 says, we say President Biden is doing the best as he can from us, because if he stays being the president, Biden from us. We said from us don't care about Trump.
I really wish that neither of them would be on my ballot.
Yes, agreed.
Just going to throw that out there.
Agreed. Joe Friday is asking Mike Doyle how is Saratoga, but unfortunately I did not see that comment while Mike was still on the line. But yeah, Joe Friday is asking if Mike hit it big.
Is that like a gambly place?
That's the horse racing. That's Saratoga.
Oh.
Let's see. We are all right. We are rapidly approaching the top of the hour, so we're going to play a track. Well, actually, we're going to show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we're going to play the track. And then by the end of the song, we should have our friends from Everfelt, a great band from Illinois, on the line. So looking forward to that. They're going to be Skyping in. Speaking of sponsors, by the way, congratulations to Peter White of The Morning Show with Peter White for bringing in Diz's Cafe, they are officially coming on board as a WMNH sponsor and a sponsor of the morning show. So congratulations, Peter. Well done. Diz's is a very cool place. And so you'll be hearing that ad, no doubt, very shortly. I think Peter said on the morning show, he said later this week.
Oh, cool.
We'll have the ad. So
they're right near Cat Alley too, so you can get something really cool to eat and then go check out all the paintings there.
Oh yeah. Check out Diz's Cafe. All right, we got to get to a break, and then we're going to hear some Everfelt, and then we're going to talk to those guys. So there is plenty more to come. Don't go away. Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria.
For delivery, call 603-782-8450.
Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town.
1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Best cocktails around.
Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Maybe you've heard of this song on your phones, on your TVs, everywhere you look. Lies!
Welcome back, everybody. That is Everfelt. The track is called The Lie. Sounds like they're having a little bit of an issue with Skype, so we will see if they're able to get that worked out. They are from the great state of Illinois, so hopefully they can get the technical problems resolved. But anyway, so we have time. If they do, great. If not, we might have to talk with them another day. But great band, so I hope we're able to talk with them today. Looking forward to interviewing them. But plenty of other things we can do in the meantime. 603-250-6007 is the studio line. 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Jenny is here as well at the news desk.
I am sad.
Yeah.
I am here. I am present.
By the way, now this is apropos of nothing political or anything, but I just happened to... So on the morning show this morning, Shannon had called in and she asked a question about radio at night. Why is it that you can pick radio stations up? I forget exactly how she phrased it. I think she said something about different times of day, being able to get different radio stations, like from further away or something like that.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, at least that's what it sounded to me like she was asking about. And it's actually true that at night, and sometimes very late at night, you can get radio stations from further away. And there's a scientific explanation for it. And I can attest to this. I had something really, my dad might even remember this, because he listens to the show. When I was a kid, I was probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years old. I was a radio nerd from a pretty young age. I always had the radio on. And there was one night, this only happened once, and it never happened again, but it was so cool. I was always, scrolling through the dial, turning the dial, trying to see if there were radio stations available that I didn't know about yet, that I just hadn't found yet, both on AM and FM. That's how into it I was. There was one night, and I remember it was a clear night. It was I believe it was in the summertime. I landed on a radio station I didn't recognize, and I heard the liner. It was a station, swear to God, Buffalo, New York.
Really?
It was, don't get me wrong, it was very scratchy. There was a lot of static, but I heard, W, blah, 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 whatever it was, Buffalo, New York. And I was like, oh my God. And it only lasted maybe 20 seconds, and then it got really staticky again. And that was it. But I remembered where it was. I made a note of where it was on the dial, and every once in a while I would go back and look for it. But it was Buffalo, New York. Really? And we were living in Concord, New Hampshire, but it was at night. It was kind of late, and there it was. It was really amazing. So there is actually something to Shannon's question. And I happened to look this up. This is short. This is from howstuffworks.com. Why do you hear some radio stations better at night than in the day? And there is a scientific explanation. It says here, radio waves naturally travel in straight lines. So you would naturally expect, because of the curvature of the Earth, with apologies to any flat earthers out there, you would naturally expect, because of the curvature of the Earth, that no radio station would transmit further than 30 or 40 miles. And that is exactly the case for ground-based, as opposed to satellite TV transmissions. The curvature of the Earth prevents ground-based TV transmissions from going much further than 40 miles or 64 kilometers. Certain radio stations, however, especially the shortwave and AM bands, can travel much farther. Shortwave can circle the globe, and AM actually, we know someone who's made videos bragging about how he's talked to people in other parts of the world.
A long, long time ago.
Yes. Shortwave can circle the globe, and AM stations transmit hundreds of miles at night. The extended transmission is possible because of the ionosphere, one of the layers of the atmosphere. It is called the ionosphere because when the sun's rays hit this layer, many of the atoms there lose electrons and turn into ions. As it turns out, the ionosphere reflects certain frequencies of radio waves. So the waves bounce between the ground and the ionosphere and make their way around the planet. The composition of the ionosphere at night is different than during the day because of the presence or absence of the sun. You can pick up some radio stations better at night because the reflection characteristics of the ionosphere are better at night. So it actually is true. It's not just a myth that you can get radio stations further away at night than you can during the day. But yeah, I'll never forget that moment. It was so bizarre. I wonder if my dad remembers that, because I remember like telling him, Dad, or I didn't call him Dad. I called him Pa for some reason when I was a kid. I don't know why. I think it was from watching Little House on the Prairie.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I was like, hey, I got a radio station from Buffalo, New York. But I think by the time he came into the room, it had already gone back to static.
Oh,
but it was so weird.
For a brief moment there.
It was wild. It was like science fiction. Like, wow.
The dulcet tones of New York City.
Well, it wasn't dulcet because it was very staticky. But I could just make it out. I could make out I wish I could remember the call letters, but I could make out the call letters and the location. Just incredible. And obviously there was nothing there occupying that frequency on the dial here locally, or there, and because we were in Concord.
I grew up with WBC.
Yes, yep.
Every morning, and waiting for the school cancellations. Back then, you had to wait until they said the alphabet all the way down to your town name.
Oh, yeah.
There was no computer to look at.
Right.
And if you missed it, you had to sit there and wait for it to go all over again.
Yes. Here's a new name in the Facebook live chat, and I'm sure I'll get it wrong. Tassiusani. And I'm actually not saying it twice because I'm trying to make sure I get it right. I'm saying it twice, although I would like to get it right out of respect. I try to get people's names correct. But it's actually the same name twice. Tassiusani. I bet I'm close. Or maybe it's Tassiusani.
Hashtag?
Joins us in the chat room. Nope, no hashtag. No hashtag. So I don't know if they're from
Hello.
Greensboro.
I can't see them. It's like sometimes you can see stuff and I don't see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, well, I know. It's different on I'll see things, because I have my computer here, and then of course we have the big monitor here, but I also bring in my own computer, and I see things, I see different, even though it's the same chat room, sometimes I'll see certain comments on one browser and not the other. It's very strange. Abort 7 says, we are from Greensboro, North Carolina. From us. Good afternoon, Matt's father. From us. We say, Mr. Connarton, hi from us.
I didn't see him.
It's so nice. I just mentioned my dad, and then Abort 7 is saying hello from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Well.
Isn't that nice?
You know what that sounds like, don't you?
Now, Miriam Banish says, late at night, I could hear New York City stations. Interesting.
Ooh, Joe Friday's talking about bad things.
Really? Like what?
Remember seeing the French nudie movies on the night TV?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Joe Friday. No.
Night
Now that's a discussion for Matt Connarton Unsheathed.
Oh, yes.
How dare
we
you?
haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah, Miriam says, oh yeah, late at night I couldn't New York when she could get New York stations when she was living in southeastern PA. You know what I didn't know until recently? Until a couple of years ago. When Dusty Hill from ZZ Top died.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people, I was nostalgic and I, always loved ZZ Top, still do. And I was reading there's a song that I played because I wanted to because Billy Gibbons is the primary lead vocalist in that band, but Dusty did sing a handful of songs. So when Dusty died, I specifically looked for cool ZZ Top songs to play where Dusty did the lead vocals. And there's a song called Heard It on the X that's from an early album. And I didn't know what that meant, Heard It on the X, but I thought, heard it. Does this have something to do with radio? So it turns out in Mexico, you know how in the United States, in the eastern half of the country, all the call letters start with W, and in the western half, they all start with K?
Didn't know that, but Thank you for
Oh, you didn't know
telling me.
that?
No,
Yeah,
actually, I never really knew that little Easter egg.
Like double, I forget where the line is, but yes. So stations, like, that's why stations in California, they all start with K, for example. Well, in Mexico, it turns out they all start with X. And there are these stations, or there were, they might not still be around. There were these stations in Mexico called border blasters, a slang term. And the reason they were called that is because in Mexico, the stations didn't have the radio stations then, and maybe it's still true today. But when these guys were growing up in ZZ Top, they're from Texas. So they would hear these Mexican radio stations because they were called border blasters, because whereas they were unregulated, their frequencies would travel really far. So you might literally have a 500,000 watt station in Mexico that would reach almost all the way to Canada. So that's why the song is called Heard It on the X, because they would hear some really cool things on these Mexican radio stations, some really cool, blues artists and stuff that you wouldn't hear on American radio. But apparently, so I don't know if those stations are still around and if they're still, where you can get them like way up almost into Canada. But yeah, they're called border blasters. And you can get them very far. Let's see. Just want to make sure we don't miss anybody in here. Oh, Joe Friday says, speaking of tall guys and horse racing, happy birthday to Nick Macris, 28 on the 28th. Watch for his horse. He's a lucky guy. I guess that's the name of the horse.
Don't like horse racing.
Mike from Queen City Cabinetry joins us in the Facebook live chat. Queen City Cabinetry, one of our great sponsors here at WMNH 95.3 FM. And I get to hang out with Mike every Friday night for Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. Joe Friday says, Border Blasters, that's a great name for a cocktail. Miriam Banish says, the University of North Texas had a problem with their call letters. They go to KNTU now. Oh. Yes. Abort 7 says, it took me a half second to get that, but yeah, I can see how that would be a problem, Miriam. I don't even know if Miriam's serious or if she's kidding. She might be serious.
I'm not sure.
I think she is serious. But if not, that's a great joke if she's kidding. But I think she's serious. Abort 7 says, which one members of ZZ Top who passed away from us, Matt? Bob Barker. He was a member of ZZ Top. He passed away over the weekend. No, Dusty Hill, of course, the bass player and occasional lead singer. Abort 7 says, we say ZZ Top had good hits. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. 603-250-6007 is the studio line if you'd like to join us today. 603-250-6007. Oh, Miriam says, I'm 100% serious. Yeah.
See, you're terrible.
Why?
Because you are.
What's terrible?
You.
I'm trying to, here we go. I did not get a chance to, should we do this? I have an article here from Mediaite about cable news shows and networks ranked for bias and accuracy. But I also wanted to do the Oliver Anthony thing. Let's do the Oliver Anthony thing. I can save this for another day. We might have time for both. So, Oliver Anthony, do you know who Oliver Anthony is? Do you remember? We talked about him. He did that song, Rich Men North of Richmond. And now, I have a radio edit of this song. What I would like to do, now, Oliver Anthony, he kind of became famous sort of overnight. Because what happened is a lot of right-wing podcast and online media personalities like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, the whole Daily Wire crew and whatnot, they really got behind this song. So, and really kind of championed this song. And a lot of conservatives love the song. Now there's some backlash, though, at Oliver Anthony because he didn't like that. He says he didn't like that the song was actually featured at the Republican debate because he said, wait a minute, those people on that debate stage, they're some of the same people I'm talking about.
Exactly.
This has nothing to do with party. My song isn't about a particular political party. I'm talking about everybody in Washington, both Republicans and Democrats. So now he's getting some backlash from some of the conservatives who supported him. But what I would like to do, I have not listened to this song all the way through. Now, regular listeners might recall a number of weeks ago, there was a big controversy around the song Try That in a Small Town by Jason Aldean. And I intentionally avoided listening to that song because I wanted to play it on the show and give you my live, in the moment, unvarnished, if you will, reaction to it and get feedback from the audience and get your thoughts and whatnot. And luckily, though, DJ Steve was in the Facebook live chat that day and said, hey, Matt, heads up. You'll want the radio edit because Jason Aldean actually says the S word in the song. So I had to find the radio edit. This song also has the S word in it, but there is a radio edit available. So I have not. Now, I've heard more of this song than I had heard of the Jason Aldean song before I played it on the show. But I've avoided listening to this song all the way through for the same reason. I'm going to play the song all the way through, the radio edit, of course, right here, live on the air, and give you my reaction to it and get your reaction. And, of course, anybody in the audience who wants to react or has any thoughts on it. I've heard only the very beginning of the song. I have heard a tiny bit of it. I had to hear enough of it to make sure it was a legitimate radio edit. Fortunately, the first S-bomb is very early in the song. So I didn't have to get very far in the song to hear, okay, they did the reversal on that to make the swear go away. Good. So this is a legitimate radio edit. So you haven't heard the song, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm going to play it right now, the radio edit of Rich Men North of Richmond by Oliver Anthony. And I'll tell you what I think. Well, that's it. I'll tell you what I think, and we'll hear what you all think. Here we go.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to. People like me, people like you, wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is, living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do. And it's taxed to no end, cause the rich men, north the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to. For people like me, people like you, wish I could just wake up and it not be true. But it is, oh it is, living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't ish, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay.
What do you think?
It was the first time for me listening into it all the way through.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I have actually looked up some stuff about this guy. I can see what he's saying. There's some stuff in there that I think is kind of uncomfortable for me because he's doing like some fat shaming in there that I'm not so great about.
There's some right-wing tropes.
However, that being said, when I'm reading this man and what he is saying, he's saying that it's the rich who hurt the poor, and I'm sorry, that's true. That's very true. The elitists never have to worry about their health care. The elitists don't worry about food on their table. And yeah, they'll pay as craptastic as they can for a salary to make sure that they keep cottoning those dollars.
Yeah.
They got to pay for those little yachts. They got to pay for those stylish clothes. They could give two craps about the rest of us as long as their coffers are getting full. So in the vein of what he intended for it, I cannot disagree with this man.
I think that,
and I can support what he's saying.
One thing I
to
don't
an extent.
Yeah, one thing I cannot support is he kind of at one point, and it's with the fat shaming comment. He sort of it almost, and part of my thinking about this might be a little bit tainted by some of what I was reading and hearing about the song before actually listening to it. But he sounds like he kind of takes a swipe at people who are on welfare, and
right.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, but he sounds like he's doing it more combined with fat shaming. Like he doesn't do the old Ronald Reagan welfare queen nonsense. So
right, and that's what I was saying. That's the part of the song that I have the discomfort with.
Yeah.
If I take a broad view of what he's singing about, well, he's singing about a lot of the same stuff that I've been talking about from podiums for the last few months about how we get cut off in our health care. People are poor because they're poor because they can only afford their medicines. After that, they're broke. They're made medically poor. How many people have bankruptcies, lose their houses because of medicine? Just from that one perspective, to me, if I look at it in that vein, I 100% agree with the guy. But I mean, there's a lot of what he says that's absolutely true. And especially, I got to say, in some southern areas. When I was in Kentucky, the world was very different. And I'm sure that it still is from the north. You know, maybe it's a different world. The pay scales are different. I worked in a sweatshop sewing factory. We got told we weren't getting paychecks because the fax machine messed up the numbers, because 90% of the people in that room didn't know how a fax machine worked, what it did, and never even saw one.
Right.
You know, I saw a lot of slimy stuff in Kentucky that would never get pulled off here.
Yeah.
But they get away with it in the backwood there. At least they did when I was there. I'm speaking from my own personal experience.
Right.
I don't know what that world is like now. Maybe because we're all connected now with computers, maybe it's become different.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I filled out a job application that literally asked me if I was married and if I had children, how many. It wanted my height. It wanted my weight. This was a gas station job.
So I remember what I said about the Jason Aldean song when I played that live on the air. I said taking the video out of it, just the song itself. And there, by the way, there is no video for the. Well, no, actually, I think there is a video for this song,
but it's just him playing.
It's just him playing. But you know, the Jason Aldean song, of course, has this whole big produced video, and there's controversy about the video. But the song itself, what I said about the song itself, because people were saying it was racist and whatnot, I said this song, taken by itself, I don't believe is racist, but I can see why, if you are racist, you would like this song. I would say about this song, Rich Men North of Richmond, if you are I don't think the song is promoting a particular ideology. And apparently, from what Oliver Anthony is saying, that was absolutely not his intention. However, I can see why conservatives, why some, like, you know, the Daily Wire crew, like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and all of them, I can see why they got behind the song, because there's some, you know, it's kind of a populist. It's become sort of this populist anthem, and there's different kinds of populism, and it's kind of a right-leaning sounding populism. So I can see why they got behind the song, but there's a couple of interesting controversies that actually have come out. So one is what I said. He was upset that the song was used during that debate. And by the way, for anyone who says, because I know some people are saying, well, then why did he approve it? He probably didn't.
They never usually do.
Well, here's the thing, though, because some people say, well, wouldn't he have had to have at least given his approval for them to use the song? But here's the thing. Well, yeah, there is a bit of a history of people using songs in political campaigns without approval.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, this guy got very famous very fast.
And very rich.
Well, I don't know if he's rich.
I'm looking at his numbers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah.
But he got very famous very fast, and he probably, I'm sure he has a team already that had to be hastily put together, who he probably has a management team who said, well, of course you can use the song. And it wasn't necessarily his decision. But so that's one controversy. So now he's coming out and saying, no, they're part of the problem. They're the people I'm singing about. It's not just about one party. But the other controversy is now he's also being accused of faking his accent because of a video of an interview that he did where he talks about diversity. This is what's got the Daily Wire crew all upset. He talks about diversity, and he talks about how diversity is a strength, and it's one of the things that is great about America, and we should celebrate diversity. Well, not everyone at the Daily Wire is on board with that message, as you might imagine. Not everyone's a fan of this diversity of which he speaks. Now, some people are also saying to him, I've seen online people saying, you know, well, this guy clearly got used. I actually saw it might have even been on this because I got this radio edit from YouTube. It might even be on here. Somebody said, you got used, dude, saying that he got used by the Daily Wire and these other online conservatives who made this song their anthem, and now they're mad at him because they feel betrayed by him. Because he's not really with them. He's not with any particular party. But I think it's possible. And again, I say this from a little bit of a different perspective than most people probably have because of I come from a music industry background. I think it's possible that this guy used the system to get himself famous. And if I'm right, if this was intentional on his part, bravo. Well played, because this guy, no matter who likes a song or who doesn't, and whatever backlash he's facing, this guy, not only did he get famous almost overnight with this song, but he's figured out how to keep his name in the news with all the backlash. I mean, it's fantastic. If it did all happen by accident, that's great too. But that's impressive. I mean, this is all, I'm amazed. And here, this is from Newsweek, by the way.
He's supposedly making $40,000 a day on this.
Oh, could be. Yeah. I mean, it's a viral sensation.
Certainly is.
This is from Newsweek. Oliver Anthony's meteoric rise to fame in the country music world has come with increased scrutiny, this time focusing on his accent. Last month, Anthony was an unknown country music hopeful, but thanks to an endorsement from controversial podcaster Joe Rogan, I didn't even realize it started with Joe Rogan, he went viral overnight with his hit song, Rich Men North of Richmond. A video of him singing the song was uploaded to YouTube on August 7 and has received 34 million views with more than 130,000 comments at the time of the writing. It won praise from many well-known conservatives for highlighting topics such as QAnon and Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't catch a QAnon reference in there. I did catch the Jeffrey Epstein reference. He talks about minors on an island. The song also takes aim at taxation, welfare cheats, obesity, and makes reference to sex trafficking. Well, that's the Jeffrey Epstein part. Republican politician Marjorie Taylor Greene even dubbed the song the anthem of forgotten Americans. But his newfound fans have already started to turn on the singer after comments he made during a Fox interview. Anthony described blue-collar workers as, quote, the melting pot of the world, unquote, and championed diversity, saying, quote, that's what makes us strong. We need to learn to harness that and appreciate it and not use it as a political tool to keep everyone separate from each other, unquote, he said, which earned the wrath of some conservatives on Twitter.
Why is he talking about diversity?
And that's not even, that's so, it's weird how that's pretty mild stuff.
There's a,
you would think he said, by the way, I love Black Lives Matter. And, all he said was,
diversity is cool.
We're the melting pot of the world and we should celebrate that. That's
right?
Pretty mild.
I'm looking at some of the comments that are being made. So, told you this guy was a plant. Yeah. Promoting what is this? Promoted algorithm boosted based red bearded hillbilly song guy was faking his accent and says diversity is our strength. Why is he saying diversity?
It says here, there's more from Newsweek. It says, now his detractors have claimed the Farmville, Virginia native has been faking his accent and pointed to the Fox News interview with Griff Jenkins as proof. They claimed his accent was not Southern, even though his singing style would suggest otherwise.
He grew up in Virginia.
God, that is so ignorant.
Come on now.
You can sing however you want. It's art. You know what? It's his song. He can sing it however he wants. He sounds too Southern in the song, so now he's a poser.
Do you know that when people talk and when people sing, they don't always sound the same?
That's true.
I mean, seriously, look at any European band. They all sing English. English, American accent, English.
Yeah, they right. Yeah, the accent doesn't usually, with rare exceptions, the accent doesn't usually come through.
No, they learn
when someone's singing.
Yeah, when they copy a Metallica song, they try and copy it how Metallica sings it.
Or Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. He sounds like he's British, and he's from California, so it can work that way too.
Remember the guy who played House? He could speak perfect English, sounded like he was born in Brooklyn. Yeah. He's European. He's British.
Yeah, of course.
He's actually, when he talks in his regular voice, he's totally British in his dialect. I think that's stupid. I think that whole thing is just stupid. I think they're just looking for something to latch onto because he didn't turn out to be their boy. He's denied that he's a conservative. He says he's more of a centrist.
Yeah.
He's totally denied that. So he's not playing along with what they want. They're going to find new reasons to hate him. He's a plant. He's talking about diversity. And he was talking about rich people just destroying poor people, doing everything they can to make money and squeeze the money out of the poor people, but, never going back to them. And he literally did say that he was talking about all of those people that were on that debate stage. He literally said,
right,
I am talking about you. So they're ticked now. This was going to be their guy, man, their new champion song. And he's ruining it for them.
Yeah.
But it is true. It's one thing that's really gross in politics is that they just don't seem to care about personal property rights. Like they're all about property rights until it's somebody else's song. Like how many musicians have you seen? I couldn't even think of a name to quantify it. How many musicians you hear about complaining so-and-so's used my song in their rally and I never told them they could.
Right. Yeah. That's happened so much.
A zillion times. Because they never ask for permission. They just do it.
The New York Post has an article. Oliver Anthony is singing for all of us. Hometown salutes rich men north of Richmond phenomenon. It says, this is a short article. It says here, the men south of Richmond were on a high when viral phenomenon Oliver Anthony made a surprise appearance at a street festival here Saturday night. Anthony's Rich Men North of Richmond is rocketed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, propelling a once unknown songwriter from South Central Virginia onto the national stage. But he's staying close to his roots. All right, I'm going to skip down. I don't care about that part. Okay. Oh, this is more about the show that he did recently.
I mean, I like the guy a bit more after this conversation, I'll say. I like the fact that he's standing up for what he feels and he's not letting other people take it and try and twist it into what they want.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I'm definitely not okay with the fat shaming and, trying to do the welfare shaming. I think that's
But see,
that's a low blow to be going to, especially if you're trying to talk about the rich men in Richmond. Why are you talking about, those aren't rich men? But
it's also, though, the backlash. See, the backlash to the song now that's happening from the right, it's another example of what I always talk about how we live in this binary political culture where you have to be all the way on one side or all the way on the other, or you just confuse people. Because here's an example of, there shouldn't be any backlash coming from the right. The song has several conservative tropes, so that doesn't mean... So if you're a conservative and you like the song because of that, then you shouldn't be mad at the guy for saying one thing you don't like, or because he doesn't have the accent that you thought that he had, or whatever it is. You can still appreciate the song. You don't have to completely turn on the guy just because you thought... You thought he was all the way completely with you, and now you're going, oh, maybe he's not really conservative. Maybe he's more a right-leaning guy or whatever. So, now we have to be upset with him.
Tis, Matt, what are you ever thinking?
I mean,
that's not how this works.
It even affects art. It even affects music. You know, this
nastiness that exists.
This polarization.
Didn't used to be that way, but just to watch, I'm looking at another post. This person goes, where did Oliver's accent go? Also, why is he saying diversity is our strength? How that's a bad sentence now. Diversity is a bad word. How dare you? Oh my, never. We should just take the Statue of Liberty. We should just send up a sandblaster to just sand off the book. Because, we're not, give me you're poor, you're tired, you're hungry, the masses. We're not that melting pot anymore. That's not what people want. Apparently, at least these people. Can we this is why we all need to get out and vote and speak up and talk, because if you don't, they're going to win. And when they win, the everyday Joe loses, in my opinion. I like the guy because he did stand up and say, no, don't take my song. It's not about you. In fact, actually it is about you, but not in a good way.
By the way,
I do like that.
I think the song isn't bad.
It's just the one section.
And his voice. Yeah. A lot of people who came out because, of course, again, you have the polarization. So you had all these conservatives online who championed the song. So, of course, you have also all these people on the left who are condemning the song and condemning him. They're not condemning him anymore, but, condemning the song, but not just the message of the song, but saying, oh, he has no talent and all this terrible stuff. And no, I think he's talented. And I actually like his vocal delivery. I have no problem with any of that. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Hey. Who's this?
Hey there, Matt. It's Jack.
Who's this?
It's Jackson.
Oh, Jackson, how are you? Haven't heard from you in a while.
Oh, I've been doing splendid. I had to get my internet fixed again because I had a storm hit my damn router.
A storm actually hit your router? Why don't you keep it inside?
Yeah, it hit the router and it knocked off, and it only worked on the TV for a week. Oh, my. Well, that's horrible. I know, and the big thing is we're working on a couple other things. I'm getting on LPFM very soon.
Oh, very good. Very good. Currently, your station streams online, right? Or is it down because of the router?
Now, I got it back up this morning.
Oh, good.
It took a week and a weekend.
Yeah. Well, very good. Where exactly are you again? What state are you in? I forget.
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia, yes. Georgia, that's a lot going on in Georgia right now. But
pretty boring down there now, right? Yeah, not a lot going on.
So
no, it's not raining.
Good. That's good.
But the big thing is talking about the Trump went to prison and all that, or Trump went to jail in Fulton County.
Uh-huh.
That was a big kind of story, and I saw his mugshot. There was about 3 other mugshots they were posting. One of his little mean face, one with the mean face, the middle finger, and another one I saw.
Well, there's only one of those is authentic, obviously, just the one with his mean face. I think he looks mean. How do you think he looks?
He just looks. He looks like I don't want to say the word like pissed or something like that.
Yeah, he looks angry. That's an angry Trump.
He's angry, and I actually have a friend who lives in New Hampshire. His name is Roy, and he lives in Somersworth.
Oh, I know Roy. Roy from Somersworth.
Yeah.
We all know each other here. It's a small state.
It is a small state.
I'm
right there on the line near Maine and
I know.
New Hampshire.
I hang out there occasionally. Roy's a great guy. We party.
I love listening to the show usually. I usually listen on Facebook, but I usually listen online when I'm at school or anything like that.
I understand. Now, do you
got back into school on August 3rd.
August 3rd? Wow, you go back early, huh?
Yeah, it's my senior year of high school, and I'm starting an LPFM here.
Yeah. Oh, it's your senior year. Congratulations. Now, when does the when does the FM start? Do you know? Do you have a timetable?
Possibly in 2025 or anything like that.
Okay. So it's a long-term endeavor, obviously. But
yeah, I have 3 years to build.
Yeah. No, that's cool though that you're doing that. Good for you, man. That's great.
And we're broadcasting a classic country format.
Classic country, okay.
50s to the 90s, but we do play 2000s.
Oh, okay. So 50s.
And we're also on iHeart as well.
Excellent. Very good.
Which is easy to get on, I figured out.
It can be, yes. Now, is so the station, though, is currently, for people who want to find it, it's currently online, right?
Yes, I do 3 stations, actually.
You have 3 online stations?
I have 3.
Oh, wow. Well,
I do a classic hits, a top 40, and a classic country.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, very cool. How do you find those?
They're online. We do have a group page if you want to write it down and tell people about it. It's con31mediaenterprises.com.
What?
Con, C-O-N, Con31?
Com, like C-O-M-M.
Oh, com, like communications. Okay, C-O-M-M 31 media what?
Enterprises.
Mediaenterprises.com?
Yep.
Oh, I'll check it out. I'll check it out tonight. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you're doing.
There's like 40 other radio stations on there I work with.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. Well, you're keeping busy.
And some are getting on LPFM. One's on a part of 15 right now, but it's really cool.
Yeah. Excellent. You ever do anything with shortwave?
No, I do not. I'm looking at WRMI right now.
What's that? WRMI?
WRMI is a shortwave radio station in Okeechobee, Florida.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, he's doing shortwave.
You didn't know that? It goes across the whole United States.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No, very cool. Good. Do you have any opinions on this song, "Rich Men North of Richmond" by Oliver Anthony?
I do. We contact the record label, and we're able to get a cut from them. Says, hey, this is Oliver Anthony, and this is my new song, down for Richmond on the station. So I have that.
Oh, very cool. So you like the song, and you're not mad at him about anything?
No, I'm not. I'm just mad at these record labels are trying to control him.
You feel his record label is trying to control him?
the record labels are trying to control him. They're trying to control him like a puppet.
Ah, a puppet of the label.
A puppet, like a puppet. Like he turned down an $8 million deal with a record company.
I saw a notation of that in one of my searches. I saw a search that said he was earning $40,000 a day from the song and turned down an $8 million record deal, but I don't know like where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I did just find another quote from him where he said that he's fed up with what he perceives to be the weaponization of his music by both the right and the left.
Ah. Well.
Actually, the New York Post is reporting.
He didn't want to do it. He wanted to be independent. So,
right.
But he has been climbing up the charts lately.
Oh, he hit the top of the Billboard Hot 100, I believe.
Yeah.
So we use a chart called MediaBase.
Okay.
And he's number 41 on there.
Okay. Well.
On MediaBase.
Yeah.
Like terrestrial stations use it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, cool. Well, you should try to get him. You should try to get him for an interview.
If I can probably get to you guys.
Ooh,
we'd be happy to.
Absolutely. Well, very good. Jackson, we are almost to the end of the show, so we'll have to let you go. But I appreciate the call. It's good to hear from you.
You too.
All right, man. Congratulations on everything. Bye-bye. All right, that's our friend Jackson Harris from Georgia. He's the only Georgian we hear from occasionally, I think. I feel like.
Everfelt is regretfully sorry that they goofed with their computer stuff, and they have got it all figured out, and would like to join us on Thursday.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So they will be joining us then.
Okay. So yeah. So if you're just joining us, Everfelt, our guest today, a great band from Illinois. They had a bit of an issue, so they're okay. So they have rescheduled for Thursday. Very good.
Yes.
And I will.
Tomorrow you have Norset, an interesting artist out of the UK.
Yes. Joining us via Skype, of course.
Yes.
So I'll probably.
I'd like him to show up, but I don't think I can get the flight.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to end today's show with this Everfelt song. It'll give people another taste of what they can expect on Thursday.
Sounds
so
good.
Very good. Yeah, I like their sound. I like their sound a lot. I suppose if anyone wants to get in with a very quick call, but it will have to be terse. The studio line is open. We have a couple of minutes left. 603-250-6007. 603-250-6007. By the way, pretty interesting day.
Just a little.
With, Mark Meadows taking the stand. I'm not sure where that. He's trying to get his trial.
I'm looking at it now. It doesn't look like a decision has been made, but he did in fact spend some time on that stand.
Yeah, he's trying to get that removed from Georgia, and
right. But the reason is because the president told him to do this. His defense is the president told me to do it.
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of like proving the point?
Well, that's
the part that's throwing me is it feels like it's proving the point.
I wonder if it'll help him or not, if he even successfully gets it moved. When
it's not gonna. It's not gonna.
When it came to light that he was trying to do it, that he was trying to get it moved from Georgia to federal court, my first thought was that he was doing that because he thought then if Trump does get reelected, he'd be able to pardon him if he's found guilty. But then I realized that no, it doesn't work that way, because even if the trial gets moved to federal court, he's still charged in Georgia. So the president would still not be able to pardon him. So that actually doesn't help him.
Well, you sure about that? Because he's using the undercolor of office, under the president's office, under his power, I did these things.
Right, that's his defense. But I'm saying if he's actually convicted, it won't help him if it's in federal court versus Georgia court. If he's convicted.
He would still get sent to a state prison? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying the president couldn't pardon him.
I'm not sure about that.
Because he'll still have been charged in.
But if because it's vacated out of the state to the feds. It would be a federal prosecution, not
I don't know. From what I read, it doesn't matter
No?
because he was charged in Georgia.
Maybe.
So he still can't be pardoned federally.
Maybe, but it doesn't look like there's been any decision. Just a lot of testifying and a lot of very tired news reporters from what we could hear earlier.
Yeah.
From them we're listening to the reports earlier, and you're hearing about people running in and out of overflow rooms, trying to get in and hear what's going on, and even seeing some of Trump's own attorneys for there in the audience, seeing what Meadows was saying too.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was they were in. The way the woman said it on the radio, it sounded like she was saying that Trump's attorney was in the overflow room watching what was going on with Meadows and his testimony.
Yeah.
This just gets it's crazy.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. Which trials when? No, wait, there was a trial date set today for March.
Yeah.
For the federal case, right? The January 6th case? Is that the one that's set
I think
for March?
so. I think so, but I'm losing track.
I need a flow chart at this point to
Yeah.
keep track of the 4 different cases and who's where. And yeah, what's interesting about the Meadows thing though isn't he kind of sort of almost it's like he's admitting to it by saying, but the president told me to do it.
Right.
Isn't he actually admitting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I did this, but the president told me to.
Right. I don't know that he denies anything. By the way, I just saw this pop up. Joe the plumber is dead at age 49.
I saw that.
I don't know if anyone, if Peter had, or if anyone on the morning show had Joe the plumber in the death pool, but probably not.
I don't think so.
I'd forgotten about him.
I'd forgotten about the death pool.
He was dead at 49. Wow.
Yep.
What?
I don't know if that I'm not seeing.
I'm looking to see here
if there's how he died.
It says
was it COVID?
It just says after. Oh wow.
Oh no, what?
Pancreatic cancer.
Oh no, that's terrible.
That's terrible. Yeah.
That's a horrible cancer.
Didn't he get like his own talk show at one point after he got famous during the 2008 campaign?
I'm not sure. He had a pretty good fun run there for a while.
Joe the plumber.
Yep.
All right. Well,
kind of like Oliver.
No, that's too bad. What? Oliver's dead already? Oliver Anthony?
No.
I was gonna say the guy.
I meant like
the guy just got famous.
No.
Oh, you mean Oliver from the Brady Bunch when they
stop it?
They did that episode where they killed him off.
No.
A very special Brady Bunch.
They killed off Oliver?
Yeah, he was eaten by Tiger the dog.
Oh, come on now.
After he was hit by a car.
It.
Oliver, not Tiger.
Stop it.
And Fluffy the cat was there, and yeah, they ate him.
Stop it. Terrible.
They ate him.
What am I going to do with you?
All right, we got to go. Jenny, did you want to plug your website or anything? Or?
You can keep track of what I'm doing and all the fights we're waging against healthcare to make sure that people get the care that they need at JennCoffey.com, JennCoffey.com.
All right, very good. And if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, MattConnarton.com. And that's going to do it for us for now. We'll leave you with a little bit of Everfelt. This is my favorite of the tracks they sent us. They got a big, big sound. I love it. And they will be with us on Thursday. This is called Reach. To close out today's Matt Connarton Unleashed. Talk to y'all a little bit later. Bye-bye. At 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few